Welcome to Open Mind Podcast. My name is Jeremy. If you are passionate about continuous learning and improvement throughout your life, this is the right podcast for you. Please make sure to share, like, and comment if you like it. Suggest guests on the comment sections and questions as well. Thank you. Today, I'm thrilled to have with me on the Open Mind Podcast today, Rashelle Jones. She's a leader in revenue growth and also a strategic leader. So, Rashelle Jones, do you mind introducing yourself to the public?
Well, first, thanks for having me. I'm super excited on being here. I am a Southern girl, born and raised in Florida, Central Florida, and I have done a lot of things in my short period of time. I went to Howard University for undergrad, and then I went to Baylor University for law school. And after graduating from law school, returned home to Florida and practiced law for a couple of years full-time. Now I am still a Florida bar attorney, and I kind of do pro bono work on the side and help out a few of my recurring clients. But I got into health insurance sales, and that's what I do now. I'm a director of sales for a health insurance carrier, and I cover 4 states, which is Montana, Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming currently.
That's nice. You work as a sales advisor, sales manager, and right now you are a sales director at
Yes.
Humana. So you base your career on sales. So what got you interested to get into sales in the very first place?
You know, I think what people don't realize is we are kind of all in sales. You know, we always say, like, what's your product, right? So in sales, you like, what's your product? Well, a lot of times people's product is services. Some people's products is a physical product.
Yep.
And what I learned in law school was, as the attorney, I was really selling myself to say, hey, choose me to be your attorney of choice. Because a lot of people don't realize when you are an attorney, you have to convince people that you are worth $350+ an hour. And so you really have to sell yourself in order to be successful.
Really?
And then if you are a trial lawyer, which I actually did do, you have to sell yourself to the jury. The jury must believe the things you are saying about your client. And if they do not believe you, they will not vote in your favor. And so I realized that all my life we're selling something, right? And so once I realized that and kind of the keys to being a good salesperson, far as myself and any product I represent or any service and brand I do, I've been able to be successful.
Oh, that's nice. If you look at sales in a daily basis, all of us need to buy stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so sales is like involved in our daily basis.
Yes. Right now, we are in an election year, and the candidates are selling themselves to say, hey, we want to be your president of the United States. We want to be your congressman. So everyone sells when you have a building, even when the government is trying to decide what contract to do, people submit their bids. So they're trying to say, hey, pick me to build this building, to build this airport. So everyone is in sales, like even nonprofits, because there's so many nonprofits, right? You can donate to so many causes. Well, what makes you donate from one cause over another one? They sold you. They sold you on their vision and their cause, and that's why you donated to them. So we're all in sales.
Yeah, they convince you to give that money, to give them funding.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So what soft skills do you think is really much important for someone to reach a higher goal, for example, to become more successful?
I think in life, it's all about connection.
Okay.
I think connection is super important, and that is the number one soft skill. And I think sometimes people think of it as networking, but connection is a little bit deeper than networking. I think networking, nowadays is like surface level. Like, how can I help you? How can you help me? And when I think about connection, I think about how can we have a sincere and solid bond that can go past time and situations. And so I think the best soft skill is connection.
Oh, that's nice. I'll add up to that one, critical thinking.
Yes.
Is one of the important skills you have to develop, because if you're performing a role as executive in any company, you are a professional, you are a business owner, you will have at a certain point have to make decisions.
Yeah, you do. You do. And the best way to make a good decision is to have a critical thinking mind, but also to lean on your resources. And so if you've built great connections, you're going to be able to use what you're thinking and be able to put the great people to execute your vision. So very important. I think we're both on
the same boat.
Yes.
It kind of goes along together.
Yes.
Yeah, so looking back at your career, doing sales for lots of years now,
Yes.
how sales helped you develop the amazing skills that you now possess?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I learned in sales is that it is not an individual sport. I think a lot of times we assume that if you're a salesperson, you have this high drive and you're very competitive and it's just me, right? But the best salespeople, they make connections and they make an incredible sales team.
Okay.
And I think that goes with any industry. And so I think learning that I was a salesperson and learning to be successful means that I had to be a really great team player and I had to be a great leader, right? Because I want to lead the team to the top sales. So if I'm a leader of a team, I have to do that very well in order for my team to be successful. And I think some people think, oh, no, it's not always a team sport. But I like to think about like real estate agents, right? So some people will think like, you have a real estate agent, they're trying to get the most sales. The best real estate agents, they have a team. They have an inspector that they go to. They have a go-to mortgage broker. They have a go-to title company, right? They have that team. And in order for that team to work well, there has to be a leader on that team. And usually it is the real estate agent that makes sure that, hey, they're encouraging and leading their mortgage broker to say, hey, I know this may be last minute, but we need this mortgage approved today and not 2 days from now, right? And so everyone has to have a team to be successful no matter what industry they're in. And the best way to create a good team is to create genuine and sincere connections with the people that's on your team.
Oh, that's interesting. Just opened my mind. Yeah, so what do you think about time management? Because I work in sales as well. And I know if one of the skills you can develop in any industry, sales will help you develop time management.
Yes.
So what do you think about time management?
Yeah, so I think you have to have really good time management skills, right? And I think that with the development of AI and different tools, we have gotten really great at time management if you want to be. But I also think you have to understand that you have to be flexible in sales, right? Sales is not an 8 to 5 job, unfortunately.
Can you break down what you
Yes.
mean by flexibility?
Yes.
You have to be flexible.
You have to be flexible. So in your time management, a lot of people think I am going to say at 8 o'clock, this is going to happen. And at 9 o'clock, this is going to happen. And 10 o'clock, this is going to happen.
Okay.
Perfectly understand, right? And at a certain time, I'm going to cut it off, right? Okay. So in the business, this happened to me today. So this is a great example. In my business, during this time period, a lot of people don't work on the weekends, right? They work Monday through Friday, and they get their sales. I have brokers calling me, and they're getting their sales Monday through Friday. However, this morning, on Saturday morning, I got a call, and I picked up. It came on my work phone. Technically, I'm off work, but sales never end. So I was flexible. I picked up, and I was like, hey, how can I assist you? And he had a simple question that didn't take all day, took about 5 minutes of my time.
Okay.
But because I answered that sales question and gave my 5 minutes, that made that broker feel like, hey, Rashelle is there when I need her. So now I can go make a sale. So he's going to go make a sale, and he's probably going to make more than one sale just because I took 5 minutes to assist him. That call was nowhere on my plan today.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have to be a little bit flexible and say, hey, Ideally, the calls are going to come in during this time, but there may be a time where a sale has to be made at a different moment. So I think being flexible and leaving some flexibility in your schedule is going to be very important when it comes to time management.
Okay, so what are some of the practical ways to just do that, to become more flexible? Because you can have things planned, but it doesn't really go as you plan to. Things change. So what are the practical tips to develop that flexibility?
So I think one thing is to understand priority, right?
Okay.
So I think sometimes we get so rigid in our schedule that we're like, well, we said we're going to do this at 9:00. It's like, okay. But something that will give you a greater return on investment or has a higher priority comes up. And now the thing you scheduled at 9:00 is no longer the best option. And so my tip is to say, okay, you know what? This has a higher priority. This is going to give me a greater return on investment. How can I move this 9:00 task to a later time, right?
Yeah.
Or to a different time? Another thing I tell people, I tell all my team, review your calendar in the evening and in the morning. So that's the first thing I do and the last thing I do. When I put my phone away and I'm no longer at work, the last thing I do is I review my calendar for the next day. So I kind of already have an idea of what's going on, what time I'm going to start, what things I have to do. And then even though I reviewed it late last night, in the morning when I wake up and I get ready to start work, the first thing I do before I answer any emails is I go check my calendar to make sure that nothing has came in place, make sure that I'm still on track of what I plan to do. So I think that's another tip I would say with time management as well as being flexible, because then you can see what you can move, right? So if someone calls me and says, hey, Rashelle, I know this is last minute. Can you do a training today at 3? I cannot, right? Because I may have something that has a high priority at 3. But because I looked at my calendar, I can say, no, I can't do it at 3, but how's 4:30, right? And be able to give that the other alternative for someone. So those are my key ways. But everyone is going to be different. And I think the most important thing is to learn what works for you. Learn what works for you.
That's the key.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so do you think it's also important? Because sometimes we don't really have that time to know what we want, because we are mostly influenced by others, social medias, or I don't know, our peers.
Yes.
Okay, because they had like a specific career.
Yes.
Okay, I mean they can help you so much. Okay, to develop the same skills. But you are not going to do the exact same thing they did.
Exactly.
You're not going to live their life.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you think is important? Or do you think it's important to sometimes spend time on yourself, meditating, getting to know yourself more better so that you can adjust, okay, when you learn new things and you know what your priorities are?
Yes, I think self-development is so important that I actually plan it into my day. So once a week, I have 2 hours of self-development. And that means different things every week. That might mean reading a book. It might mean going on my LinkedIn and updating something. It may be listening to a podcast. It may be meditating, right? It may be going to the gym, because sometimes you're stressed and you need to get some stress out. And, you
need to release.
Right. And so, but self-development is very much important. And I also want to say having multiple mentors as well as talking to multiple people. I think sometimes we are like, oh, I want to be a CEO, right? And so we talk to the CEO that is in our industry. So I want to be a CEO of healthcare, so I talk to a healthcare CEO. But that doesn't mean a CEO of a clothing line will not give you valuable insight, right? And so really having different mentors and also talking to different people in different industries, and then you can oh, I see how that will work for me, or how I can, tweak this or adjust this for myself. And I think when you learn those things and you learn about yourself, then you can find what fits for you.
Okay, that's nice. So, what do you think about accountability? Because this is one thing you have to deal with every single day if you want to succeed.
Yes.
You need to set time to evaluate yourself, see how far you are going toward achieving your goals, and and fix another goals because yeah, you have to see to fix like a set of goal. Once you achieve this, you want to achieve another thing.
Yes.
Just like Elon Musk, for example, he wanted to build a rocket company. He
Yes.
started by building a car company, for example, and then he does. Yeah, he keep going.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
I think accountability is very important. And so I look at accountability in certain different ways, right? So one, I want to be accountable to myself, right? But two, I want to be accountable to my peers, right? And the
Okay.
people that I serve. And so checking in with yourself, like, hey, where am I at? How am I doing? Where do I need to adjust? Where do I need to pivot? But also getting that information from other people. So what me and my friends do, so I have several best friends, but two of my best friends, what we do is we have quarterly accountability check-ins, right? And we don't have all the same goals, but we have a fourth quarter accountability session that happened in December, and we wrote down what our goals were for 2024, what our checkpoints would be, and how we wanted to execute these goals.
Okay.
And so we have had, that was in December, and we are already looking to do a check-in in March to see how are we doing, right? And so what I did was I've already checked in with myself, because when I go to the check-in on March, I do not want to be the friend that's like, I have not been doing anything, right? I want to be the friend that's like, yeah, so I did this didn't work, this did work, and I was able to pivot.
Okay.
So I really think that having accountability partners is great, and you have to really have, anybody can't be your accountability partner. Let's just say that it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? It's for people that you trust. It's for people that you will take constructive criticism from, because sometimes people can tell us something and we're just like, oh, we don't like what you said, so I'm just gonna go to ask somebody else.
Even though it was an honest feedback.
Honest feedback, and that you know had good intent, because you know the relationship that person has with you, right? So I think having accountability check-ins with yourself, but also with other people, is very important, right? To success.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one because sometimes we are too biased.
Yes. Oh, we blindsided.
Yeah,
or we
we
think something happened. We think a situation happened one way, and the person on the outside is like, no, that's not how it happened.
And then we think we are the best.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a study that shows every single driver in the US right now
Yes.
think is better than anybody else. And that's completely wrong.
Yes. I mean, I have told my father that I could have been a NASCAR driver if he would have just believed in me when I was young. And I know some people probably would be like, no, she cannot be a NASCAR driver, right? Some people have ridden in my car, though, and have, held the bar. And so they felt like we were in a NASCAR driving situation. So I agree. Everyone thinks they're the best at something. And sometimes you can't see what's going wrong until you have a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Which I know you don't. So on that note about, you want to, everyone thinks they're the best, and it's good to have different perspectives. Have you ever watched the show Undercover Boss?
No.
Okay, so there used to be a show called Undercover Boss, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched every episode, but I loved that show.
Okay.
And the reason why I love that show is the premises was that someone would come, the boss or the CEO would come in disguise and work at the local level of the company, and the employees would not know that was the CEO. And so because the employees didn't know that was the CEO, they would be completely honest about all the stuff that was going wrong and all the stuff that's going right. And the CEO would be like like there'll be something small, be like, well, why is this happening? And the employee was like, oh, it's because they refuse to do this, right? And it's a simple solution that the CEO's like, no one ever brought this to my table, but it's because the table is so high and it got to go through so many levels, right? Yeah. And so I think when you talk about being accountable and staying connected with people in all areas, you will find that, hey, I think everything is going perfect. But in fact, if I talk to the people on the front line, I can make small incremental adjustments that will skyrocket the business.
Great. I love that. Yeah, so I work in sales as well. I did door-to-door sales.
Oh, that's
yeah.
People, that's an art. That's an art that people don't understand. So if you do door-to-door sales, that means you can sell anything. I tell people that all the time. You can do door-to-door sales, you can sell anything.
Yeah, so I've done a couple of that. And what I noticed, during your day, many people will say no.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you knock door. You do the best speech, you prepare yourself, like whatever, and you go and the person say no, they shut the door at you. It's like a stressful moment that you're going through, and that helped me a lot because it gave me that persistence. Yes. I became so persistent. Yes. I would knock every single door every day, and then you know what happened? People say yes.
People start saying yes.
Yeah. And
I love a no. I love a no. Let me tell you what a no does. Okay. A no means two things. Not now, right? Or I'm not sure. That's really what a no is. If you're in sales and someone gives you a no, you have to figure out why not now, right? Or why they're unsure. That's what most people, like, if you have a good product and you have a good spiel and someone says no to you, something in them is telling them, like, I can't buy this right now, right? And it may be because of money. It may be because they like it so much they think it's a scam, so they don't want to get it right now. So, like, whatever it is.
Or maybe they are not the right audience.
Right. Or not they don't understand why they are the right audience, right? They think they're not the right audience, but if I knock on your door, you're the right audience, okay? But I love a no, and I'm not scared of no. A good salesperson is not scared of a no. Yeah. And we used to say the more no's you get, the closer you are getting to a yes, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like if you knocked on 100 doors, you're bound to get one yes. And so if you're like, I'm at 98 and I've got 98 no's in a row, these last two, one of these about to be a yes, right? And so I think having the tough skin to be okay with a no and to not take it as, okay, everyone's going to say no, but to keep trying is very important. It also teaches you maybe you need to make an adjustment, right? If everyone's saying no, you might need to change your pitch, right? Yeah. Or you might need to make sure you're at the right targeted audience, or you know, you need to figure out why you keep getting no's, and it helps you.
Yeah, or maybe it's just a lesson that you want to learn. You teach you more about resilience because you become more resilient, persistence. Yes. You know you're going to get a no, but you know you'll meet the right person that's going to say yes. So it gives you that mentality of keep going and not stopping. Yes. Like when everything is not going the right way you plan to, you don't stop, you keep going. So that one thing that it teaches me from sales. Yes. So what ways or like what advice do you use to motivate your team as a sales director?
So remember when I told you about everyone, you want to have good connections for a good sales team? Yeah. Everyone's motivated by something different, right? And so if you have a sincere connection, you know what motivates that person, right? And so for me, I understand the person's why, okay? Because your why can be different than my why. And if our whys are different, we're motivated differently, right? And so I tried to make sure I understand everybody's individual why, and then I aligned it with the vision that I have or the company has for us. And so if you align the why with the vision, then people are motivated to hit that vision because it's also going to hit their why. It's going to give them fulfillment. It's going to let them sleep good at night. It's going to make them motivated to come in and to work hard because their why matches the company's vision. And so I think that's important. That's how I make that connection.
let me just break down what you say.
Okay.
You spend time meeting every single person in your team.
Oh, yes.
Get to know them, know their purpose. I mean, like, know their why. Why they want this job, why they're doing the things they're doing, what they are planning to achieve in the future, and you align that why to the visions that you have
Of the company and of the company. Yes. And let me tell you, so I have a I do speak at companies and I speak at different events, and I speak on my system of making a connection. So I have a three-point system of how you connect with people, right? Because people always talk about how you network or how you know, it's who you know, but it's really how strong the connection is. Because you can know somebody and they will never mention your name in the room that you're not in, right? Because the connection is not strong enough, right? They know you, y'all LinkedIn friends, but they're not going to mention your name in the room, right?
Yeah.
And so what I do for connection is I have a 3-step method.
Okay.
Solve, serve, and salute. Okay. And so what I do to build a connection is I look at how I can solve a problem the person has, right? And usually their why, the reason why they have a why is there's a problem and they're trying to solve that problem, right? So how can I help them solve that problem, right? And so I link their why to how it can solve their problem and it aligns with the company, right? Then serve, right? I look at how I can serve them. And now some people may say, well, isn't it solve and serve? If you solve their problem, you're serving them, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because if you go right now and you log into like Fiverr.com, which is a company that like you can
freelance
company, right? Do you know how much you can make for an empathetic listener? $45 an hour to listen empathetically to someone. You're not solving any problems, but you're serving them because you're serving them as a listener. And that's how solving and serving are different. So I look for, how can I serve you? And that's different for everybody, right? And then salute you. How can I give you praise at what you're doing currently right now, right? I think so many times we look for how can we reach the goal. And sometimes people just need recognition of what they're doing right now. I know during our busy period, we are working 16 plus hours a day. Every day, I thank my team for choosing to work that day. Because they didn't have to. They just put in 16 hours the day before. They could have been like, I'm not going. Right? I'm tired, right? They could meet their 40 hours and be like, I'm not doing overtime, right? And so I thank them. I salute them in the process. And then when we see goals at the end and I'm thanking them for goals, it's because every day I thank them for showing up. Because ask any trainer. Any trainer will tell you that's half the battle. Show up, right?
Because that means a thing. Because they have the intent of coming and looking for their bread.
So that's what I do. I look for those 3 things in every one of my team members and find. So when I talk to you, if you were my teammate, right? I would say, what's your why for getting up in the morning every morning? What's your why? Like, why you get up in the morning? Like, why you get up in the morning and do what you do?
I want to enjoy life. I want to inspire young generations and other people.
Okay. So you want to enjoy life and you want to inspire other generation. What currently is preventing you? Any problem you have currently that is becoming an obstacle from you enjoying life or inspiring generations? You have like a problem that you're trying to solve right now?
I'll probably say yes, because right now, if you look on the way social media is influencing people in a really, really, really bad day. I mean, like, we made a lot of improvement when it comes to technologies and the way of living. And right now, people spend a lot of time, like, with their phones. Okay. They're trying to live a virtual life. Instead, they could live, like, a better life, like, just a normal life, like, be happy. Put your phone down, like, stop scrolling on your phone too much. Enjoy real life, have connection with the person, like, aspire for a deeper purpose that will contribute to the evolution of humanity. So yeah, those are the values that's when I wake up, every single thing I do refer back to that purpose of mine,
Okay, great.
which is different for everybody.
Great. So would you say me being on this podcast is helping you serving you in a way to help that
Yeah,
solution?
totally. Because you're sharing your experience, your insights, and your perspective. Yeah, that helped a lot. Not only my audience, but myself first.
Got it. Well, I just want to first let you know you're doing a great job, right? So even having a podcast, most people know content creating is very hard.
Yeah.
So even doing this, that's a great job. And after this podcast, if is there any way that I could continue to serve you or help you solve that problem, I will. And trust me, I'm going to be on every podcast saying great job. And that will continue to build this connection, right? So yeah, that's how it goes in my team meetings.
Oh, nice. Wow, that was just wow. Nice. Okay, so you mentioned also about active listening when you were talking. Yeah, can you tell me more about what that is? I mean, like we kind of understand what it is, but trust me, we don't. It's another thing. I mean, if you look at people, okay, there's a stage. I can't remember when I read it or where I saw it. Yeah, but I know the fact that when you're speaking to every single person, most of them listen probably like 70% of what you're saying. They're not listening 100%. Maybe they're thinking about what to say next. So can you just talk more on your perspective, what you think active listening is and how someone can develop that skill?
Yes, so I think with active listening, you're right. Most people listen to respond, right? And then some people listen to see if they agree, right? So they want to be able to respond and to let you know if they agree with you. I would say, again, try the 3-step method. Listen to see what the problem is.
Okay.
Instead of listening to respond, listen to identify what is this person sharing with me that is a problem that they have? Or what is this person sharing with me of how I can serve them? Not how I can respond in words to them, but how can I be of service to this person? And I think when we actively listen and take our time, right? So they always say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, 2 ears for a reason. I think when we do that and we're listening not to respond, but listening to serve, listening to solve, I think you get a better, you end up having a better response because you've actually taken time to listen to everything they say. I will also say this. Active listening is a skill you have to practice. You have to practice. And if you want to practice, sit and talk with someone under the age of 10 or over the age of 65. Okay? They will teach you how to active listening. Okay? Because if you don't, you will miss a lot. They will be like, I said that or I didn't say that. You know, so if you want to practice, that's the way you practice active listening. Okay? And I've had the benefit of continuing to learn both from those under the age of 10. I have a best friend. She's 7. And she makes me active listening. And I have a guy at the gym. Love him to death. I've been trying to get him to come to my insurance carrier, and we're like best friends. But he keeps telling me he's good where he at, so he doesn't want to change.
Okay.
And but he has taught me active listening in the gym. Just they talk to you, and they generally want your sincere attention and feedback. So those would be my skills. But you got to keep practicing. No one's perfect.
You have to keep going. That's the important thing.
Yes.
That's why you have to be resilient and persistent.
Yes.
Yeah. So, looking back at your past and what you have accomplished, okay, do you think you're becoming the kind of person you want to be, or you ever dreamed of?
I think so. And I just want to shout out to my parents. When I was young, so I grew about 45 minutes away from Disney World. And I grew up in the 90s, the 80s and 90s when Disney was really big with stories. And my parents bought me a book, Beauty and the Beast. And in the book was my name, and I was Beauty's helper. So I realized at a young age that I just wanted to help people.
Okay.
That's where I get my fulfillment at. I wanted to help people. That's why I went to law school, because I wanted to help people in law. That's why I moved over to insurance sales, because if I can help you get in a great plan when and if you got sick, you didn't have to worry about money. All you had to do was worry about getting well. And so every day I get to help somebody. I get to help a broker who's trying to help a member get in the right health plan. I get to help a young salesman or a young saleswoman help with development and get them great at sales so they can provide for their family. I get to help Humana and other carriers really provide services and products for their members that are really important, with benefits really important to their members. So I get to help every day, and that's the type of person that I wanted to be. Based off of that book, I wanted to be a helper.
Wow, that's nice. I'm happy you're doing that, and I'm glad. Yeah, another perspective I love from salespeople, because I mentioned I work in sales. It gives you that perspective of thinking through two different highs. You're thinking from the customer side, and you're thinking about yourself, how you can help that customer, because you literally know that what you're selling, it might be a service, it might be a product, whatever things it can be, it's literally going to help the person.
Yeah.
That's the reason why there's company. It's because they want to keep the survival of our civilization. So that's one thing I really learned about sales. Yeah, so to conclude this podcast, let me just ask you one last question.
Okay.
Yeah, so this question I'm asking because where I'm from, in Congo, especially in Africa, women are not really involved in business. They are more involved with domestic tax. So what could be your advice to women to get them involved into something?
So shout out to all the domestic women. They run the greatest business on earth, which is your home, right? So shout out to them. I plan on being one day. I think a couple things what people don't realize.
Okay.
Right? So like you said, there's
Enlighten
a lot of women are CEOs of their domestic company, right?
Okay.
They are the highest consumers and buyers, right? So how we talk about how companies are selling something, the number one buyer is a woman.
Yeah.
Right? Even for the household, even for a man, right? If you find a successful man and ask him where he has his shirt from, he'll say, "My wife bought it. My wife gets it clean for me. It's just in the closet," right? So wives are the consumers, right? What we eat, what we use to clean our stuff.
Do you agree?
Josh is giving thumbs up. For all you guys that can't see,
Yeah.
Josh is giving thumbs up. He understands that, right?
Yeah.
And it's in the data. You can Google it. It's like we're like twice as likely to buy. I think like the women make up like 58, like a higher number of consumers, right?
Yeah.
And so if they are the ones that are making the buying decision, right? Having them in the meetings about the products only makes sense. Okay. It only makes sense to have the perspective of the buyer, right? And so I strongly encourage people to say, hey, women should be in the meetings, right? Women should be in the decision-making process.
Yeah, they're even women better than men.
So I will tell you a previous situation with me. So I used to sell used cars, okay? I sold used cars for a company. It's very popular, but they don't pay me, so I'm not going to drop their name. But it's on my LinkedIn. But I used to sell used cars. And when I got in the used car business, and even in any car business, it's a man-dominated world, right? Because when you think about cars, you think about men understand cars.
Yeah.
Okay? So it was 2 females in the dealership, right? And the rest were men. And the car company, they wanted us to sell minivans because minivans are low cost for the company to acquire as used vehicles, right? Guess who sold the most minivans?
I don't know.
I did.
You
right?
did? Okay.
I did.
Oh.
But let me tell you why. Because I'm a woman. And who drives minivans? Women. And why do they drive minivans? Because they have a family, right? And so the men were trying to sell these minivans, you know, in a man kind of way, and you can't because they're not cool according to men, right?
Yeah.
Minivans are not cool according to men. But to me, I was like, you have to sell it a different way. So I started this thing where I would sell it by having the kids that were in the dealership that came with their parents. I would have them sit in the minivan and then have the wife sit in the driver's seat and have the husband sit in the passenger seat. And the kids in the back would be like, oh my God, this is so cool. This has so many plugs and I get to pull my seat back and I get to do all these things. And I would say, hey, Mom, I want to show you something. Do you know that you can open up the doors and close the doors and close the trunk all from this one seat? And do you realize that if their device never dies, you don't have a kid complaining about their device is dead and they want to use the charger, or each kid has a room in their seat so they don't have to worry about they're like, oh, I'm on this side or don't touch me, right? And then I was like, and if you know, they're better on gas. So hubby can gas up the minivan on Sundays and then you don't have to worry about stopping to get gas. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let me show you something else different, Mom. Putting in groceries, right? New minivans, you just rub your feet under it and it pops up, right? Number 1 seller of those minivans, to the point that corporate came down and said, how are you all moving so many minivans? Here's the topper. I was in Miami. And in Miami, minivans, no one wants them. They want BMWs, they want Porsches. But number 1 salesperson in minivans. But that's because I knew how to sell it, because I knew how it would be used to the benefit of the person that was buying. And although Dad was writing the check, Mom was actually the one purchasing the minivan. So that's my quick story of why women should be at the table and involved, because in fact they are the big consumers. Those are the people that you want to hit. I mean, look at the Super Bowl just now, right? Highest rated Super Bowl. Why? What were the women looking at? Taylor and Usher, right? So Taylor Swift got some views, right? She bought the women viewer, right? And Usher definitely bought the women viewers, right? Highest rated Super Bowl watch, halftime watch, highest rated. It's crazy, right? But women, we spend the money, so.
Yeah, I know many men will not agree with me on this one. I think women have some of the most exceptional cognitive abilities that we don't.
And we all we're a team, right? We all bring different aspects. And that's why I said you need a diverse team, right? Because everyone's going to bring their own perspective. The company I used to work with, we used to have a value called Cultivate Uniqueness. And it was all about you having a different, everyone's bringing a different point of view, and everyone feels safe in bringing and contributing their point of view, because what we're going to do is we're going to think about all those and how can we help our performance by taking the concept different perspectives, because we have our perspective, but our perspective is not the only perspective. So kind of leaning in. So I think having women and men in the workplace, we all bring our special talent, and how we can work together will always increase sales and performance.
Oh, that's nice. Well, Rachel, it was a pleasure to have you on my podcast. Thank you for sharing all the experience, all the wonderful insights. that will benefit my audience and open their minds. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.